The way people chase the dream of their perfect body is changing. The pressure men are now facing is similar to what women have had to deal with for decades. Diets, workouts, days spent in the gym. And for many young men especially, anabolic steroids are being increasingly used to help achieve that dream. In this film, I'm going to find out from one user why he takes them and put him through a series of tests to see what damage, if any, they've done to his body. I'll hear from the experts, look at the law surrounding steroid use in the UK and speak to a dealer about why he does it. Gareth Jenkins, who's 29 and lives just outside of Cardiff, is one of the estimated hundreds of thousands of people who regularly take anabolic steroids to build muscle.
Been using steroids for about 4 or 5 years. When you train naturally, which I have done for a number of years before using steroids, you tire quicker, you ache more, and obviously when you use the performance-enhancing drug, which is the steroid, you don't have those muscle soreness anywhere near as much. I feel more awake, I feel better in myself, I feel more manly, I've got a higher sex drive.
There are some serious potential risks you're running from a medical perspective about using steroids, things like increased risk of heart attacks, increased risk of strokes, mood swings, infertility. Do those things not worry you?
The way that I look at it is, yes, they do bother me, obviously, but like everything.
So you're aware of the risk,
I'm fully
you're aware
aware
of the consequences?
Fully aware, yeah. I've done my research to see, obviously, what harm they would have on me or potential harm they would have on me over a prolonged period of time if I was using them, or using them correctly or incorrectly. But the fact of the matter is, in terms of the risks, is everything that we do in life now carries a risk of heart attack, cancer, whatever it is. So whatever it is, I'm going to get those risks anyway. So I choose not to do certain things, and I choose this is my lifestyle instead. So as I don't go out drinking and smoking, I take steroids.
Steroids can cause health problems because they create an imbalance of hormones in the body, which can damage many organs, but especially the heart. Gareth says he tries to minimise any risks by taking his steroids in cycles, like 16 weeks on and then 8 weeks off.
There's 2 types of steroid. There's one that comes in a liquid form, which is an intramuscular injection. That's this type.
So you inject that
and
into
I would
yourself?
inject this into directly into a muscle 2 times a week. And then the other type is a tablet form. When I'm using this type of steroid, I would use 5 a day for 7 days. So basically 5 a day every day.
So over the course of a period of around 6 months, when you're on steroids for that long, roughly how much do you think you spend on them?
At a rough guesstimate, probably with the cycle itself and the post-course treatment, would be around about £500, I expect.
That's a lot of money.
It is. It's probably a lot less in 6 months than somebody who spend on drink on a weekend.
Worth it, do you think?
For me personally, yeah.
When it comes to the law on anabolic steroids, it is legal to use them and legal to possess them right across the UK. What is illegal, though, is supplying them, unless you're a doctor. And that means either selling them or just passing them on for free. If caught, you could face up to 14 years in prison. Because Gareth's only using steroids, not supplying them, he's not in any trouble with the law. It could be a different story with his health, though. So later this week, he's agreed to go to London for a series of tests that will find out what damage, if any, he's done to his heart.
To be quite quiet, because I need to keep your throat still.
I basically started working out because I was bullied really bad when I was younger for being small and basically just a feral child of the school. So I just ended up locking myself away in a gym, training and getting bigger and getting stronger and getting inked. All sort of fell into one big sort of procedure that I seem to keep doing in a lifestyle that I lead, pretty much. Yeah, in the middle there is not nice. The rest of it's been fine so far. So going down to London to have all those tests done, which I'm excited about, to be honest with you, yet slightly nervous because obviously it could come back and say that there's something significantly wrong, and if I don't change my lifestyle, then obviously I could have health issues. My prediction is that I think I'd be pretty stupid or naive to think that my heart wouldn't have changed. You know, 4 or 5 years of the use of any performance-enhancing drug that's anabolic is going to have that effect. So I think if it hasn't, then what I've been taking is fake, and I've done it naturally. So, and obviously if it is significant, then there'll be absolutely no doubt in my mind that I'll obviously change my lifestyle overnight.
Whether people use or abuse anabolic steroids is a matter of opinion. For some in the medical world, if steroids aren't prescribed by a doctor, then it's simple. Taking them is abuse. Many people who research dosages and try to minimise the risks, though, would say they don't abuse them, but instead use them. One thing that is widely agreed on, though, is that the issue is now affecting more people than ever before.
We don't know the exact number of anabolic steroid users there are, but it certainly measures in the hundreds of thousands. We're seeing now a different population of users. While we still have people who are using for purposes of bodybuilding, we're seeing a new population of predominantly young males, but also quite older males as well, who are using purely for cosmetic purposes. There's a number of pressures on young men, and most of these pressures weren't around a generation ago. These are things like social media. They can be mainstream advertising. If ever you see a male with their shirt off, chances are they will have quite a well-defined physique. Again, males may not be geared up to dealing with this. This is something that women have had to deal with for generations, but this is quite a new thing for men.
For Gareth, he's about to undergo a series of tests that will check what damage, if any, he's done to his heart. The person in charge is cardiology doctor Anil Malhotra.
We're going to do 3 tests today. The first is to look at the electrical activity of the heart. The second is to look at the heart muscle itself. And the third, to actually exercise your heart. And we'll see how you perform.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
NHS guidelines say that by taking anabolic steroids, Gareth's risking side effects like infertility, mood swings, and even heart attacks and strokes.
This is the sound of the blood flowing across the valves of your heart, and we're just assessing how quickly the blood flows through that valve, and we're able to see whether there's any narrowing of the valve or any leakages as well.
I suspect that they will show some form of thickness or abnormality to the heart. It's bound to have changed in some way after 4 or 5 years of taking a performance-enhancing drug.
The British Cardiovascular Society says tens of thousands of people could be putting themselves at increased risks of the most serious side effects by taking anabolic steroids.
I'm cycling towards a cheesecake, and I'll get it. Billionaire's cheesecake on the horizon. Let's get there.
After pushing himself to the limit, Gareth will be able to find out how his heart has performed and what effect his steroid use has had. With hundreds of thousands of people now thought to be taking steroids every year right across the UK, clearly they're getting them from somewhere. But government figures show that for the whole of 2015 and 2016, right across England and Wales, there were just 25 convictions relating to the illegal supply of steroids, and just 7 of those ended with a prison sentence. So for this man who spoke on condition of anonymity, the law hasn't come close to stopping him from dealing. We know you supply steroids, we know you're a steroid dealer. Obviously it's illegal, you're breaking the law. A lot of people would say you're putting people's lives, their health certainly, at risk. What do you say to that?
Start off with the health risks. I think steroids are readily available to anyone who wants to access them at the moment. I like to see myself as more as someone who provides information, to ensure people can do it safely. Look, people are going to use them regardless of whether they buy them from me or whether they buy them from an unknown source or online. But if they can talk to me about it, then how to inject themselves safely or look at dosages, or if I can help them, even if not to take steroids, if I don't think it's appropriate for them, then I will. Well, that's the reason I try to, that's the reason I'm involved in it.
Who are the types of people getting them from you? Who's coming to you for these steroids?
There's a very broad spectrum of people that use steroids. You're ranging from young guys at 18 years old, 19, 20, and they're just starting out and they're training and they're looking to bulk up for maybe a summer holiday or just to look good
for a summer holiday? For
a summer holiday, or they just want to attract the girls. They want to go out on a night out and attract the girls. These are the guys that are less aware. So these are the guys that you have to be more informative when you talk to them about it, make them more aware of the risks and the dangers. If you go to an Instagram page and there's a guy on there that looks a certain way and he's got 300,000 likes and women commenting on him saying, oh, you look amazing, you look this, you look that.
Because he's well built.
Yeah. And guys going on, oh, you look really buff, your arms are huge, man. All that sort of stuff and comments that you'll see. These young guys feel pressure to try and strive to achieve that. Even 10 years ago, before social media was around, you was only judged by your peers, the people that you knew and that you met.
What about the health of the people who you're giving these, who you're supplying these drugs to? They can face things like infertility, they can face mood swings, they can face getting strokes decades earlier than the average, heart attacks. It's illegal for a reason.
Yeah. But I don't agree with it being illegal, because I'll tell you that doctors prescribe testosterone to people. So if there's a reason...
You're not a doctor.
No. I'm saying that doctors prescribe it. So steroids, or testosterone in this example, if it was killing people left, right and centre, then they wouldn't be prescribing it. And I think the media sensationalises it. And I'm going to tell you now, there's people that abuse steroids and they do damage their health. And that's their choice.
One man who's all too aware of the risks of taking steroids he's got on the black market is Gareth. And after using them for nearly 5 years, he's about to find out the effect they've had on his heart.
All right, yeah, not bad.
Do take a seat. We can go over your results. So yeah, I've got your ECG tracing, I've seen your echo report and the reports from the exercise test as well.
Yeah.
What it shows is that your heart is working well.
Right.
And that's and you've come through your exercise test well as well.
Yeah.
But we do think that you're at the upper limit of normal in terms of the wall thickness of your heart.
Right.
So that is most likely due to your weightlifting and your steroid use.
Yeah.
You are still young and you've not been using steroids for that long, but if one does continue to do so, then you are putting yourself at increased risk of heart attacks and potentially even strokes as well.
Yeah.
You know, steroid usage does have a variety of bad effects on the heart.
I class myself as quite a sensible person, taking my own health into account, that it would just be sensible, being the key word, to just not push that boundary to the point where something isn't reversible.
So not keep using steroids?
Not keep using steroids, yeah. Or for the better, cheaper too.
It looks like Gareth's steroid days might be numbered, but he's just one of hundreds of thousands of users. Dealers are unlikely to get caught, the number of convictions for supply is low, and doctors want change, worried about potential long-term health problems for users. So is change on the way? Well, we do know that the group that advises the government on drugs misuse is in the middle of a big review into steroids. We don't know yet what it's going to say.